Professional sports leagues are uncertain when they can return to action because of the pandemic. Even college athletics are under threat, despite the fact classes aren't set to resume for months. This week, college football commissioners spoke with Vice President Mike Pence. They told the VP that sports won't come back until all students are allowed back on campus. Dennis Dodd's a national college football writer for CBSSports.com, and he joins us now. Dennis, you've spoken to a number of officials within college football. What are they saying? Are they confident the game will return in the fall, or do they see this date being pushed back?
Well, they're cautiously confident, Rena. Right now, everything's on the table, really every option, starting on time, starting late in October, conference games only for football, 2-semester football where they would start in the fall and end in January or the winter. And then the biggest one right now being discussed is playing next year, playing the 2020 season next spring in 2021. Now, that has all kinds of tentacles and implications to it. You'd essentially be playing 2 years of college football in a calendar year. And what does that mean for student athlete welfare? They haven't gotten that far yet, but I will tell you this, the stakeholders in the game are desperate to get this season in because they need access to that TV money, that revenue money, those millions of dollars they've signed in media deals. So they will do anything or think of anything to get this season in.
Yeah, I mean, revenue money is obviously significant. This is a big business when you talk about football. But it's interesting that you also mention about players' well-being and their health, the fact of playing 2 seasons in 1 year. Dr. Anthony Fauci has suggested sports could resume, but without fans. And then you've got Ohio State Athletic Director Gene Smith, who's not keen on the idea. Here's what he told our Columbus, Ohio affiliate, WBNS.
I struggle with that concept because, when I first heard that, I said, okay, that could work. But then I figured that if we don't have fans in that stands, that means that we've determined it's not safe for them in a gathering environment. So why would it be safe for the players?
Dennis, is a sport willing to restart without the fans in the stadium?
I thought Gene Smith's comments were very succinct and very telling. That was last Friday. I was on that conference call. And then we had the conference call this week with the Vice President, Mike Pence, where the commissioners communicated to him, really the same thing, that it's not medically safe for, fans to show up, but, it's okay for the students to play, but you can't have students on campus, but you're having student athletes play. That's the difference here between the pros and the colleges. And I think that's a distinction. Even when you take Dr. Fauci's comments into context, I don't think he's thinking about the fact that there are tremendous liability issues with these college players. If even one of them tests positive, or God forbid dies from this virus, they can't dictate their working conditions, Rena. The pros can. They have a collective bargaining agreement. So almost to me, I've said this all along, you almost have to eradicate this thing or have some sort of elaborate testing for these players to come back and everybody in the stadium.
It's just remarkable to hear you say that. That is sort of the resounding message from people in government, people in business, and now hearing you say even people in the sports world are saying it's really all about testing. When you think about spring, typically for a football season, it's about practices, training, and it's also about recruitment. How are college coaches and trainers dealing with this?
Well, so far it's been okay. It's not ideal. The coaches are frustrated. It's a little bit change of life, but they're communicating with their players. I think we all know that Zoom has become a thing now. They're communicating with their players regularly. I heard of one school actually having all the players on one Zoom meeting. I can't imagine what that looks like with 100 players. But they're getting things done right down to weight training, where they're given things to do by their strength coach. They can see them and they can do stuff. Nothing is the same as doing it in person. And right now, Rena, we're in a dead period in recruiting. So it doesn't matter that much in recruiting. I think it will for the 2021 class, because I talked to Ryan Day the other day at Ohio State, and they know their players for the 2021 class and the 2020 class, but they have to meet the parents. They have to meet the players down the line, really, to evaluate character, something like that.
Wow, interesting. You don't often think about how important character is, especially when you're looking at athletic ability, but that's such a great point. There are also larger concerns about college sports. What are they at this point?
Well, this is a $6.5 billion industry, Rena. When you talk about college football, it makes up roughly 80% of college budgets across the board, the 130 FBS schools. So when you talk about taking that away or impacting it, it's already been impacted by the shortfall in revenue from the NCAA tournament cancellation. You're talking about what Jamie Pollard at Iowa State, the AD there, said in Ice Age. What does that look like? I personally think that if it gets bad enough, you'll see some schools at the lower end give up football. And if they give up football, you're giving up college athletics because they can't afford to play it. And I think a lot of schools will have to dip into their endowments. Those endowments are meant to fund scholarships. They're totally academic. But to stay at the highest level of college football, they may have to do it. I mean, what you're seeing here, Rena, is writ large the daily battle in real time between the for-profit college monster, college athletic budgets, and the nonprofit educational mission of what the NCAA is. We're seeing it day to day.
Just so sad to hear that potentially there might be some students out there whose dreams of playing and even of attending university might be dashed over all this. And just incredible, Dennis. I want to thank you very much, Dennis Dodd from CBSSports.com.